Good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Words of Wisdom Gyan Ganga. This is episode 193, and today's topic is democracy in danger as alleged. We have Dr. Swamy, and we have an exciting panel with Gopi, self-proclaimed ace journalist, Sree Iyer, and of course Arvind Chaturvedi. It's going to be a pretty interesting topic today. Dr. Swamy, there's so many things happening in the past few weeks, couple of weeks, even in the past few days, we've seen so many things going on. A lot of, in the sense that politically, in terms of democracy, if there is something opposing the government and ED, CBI, they're thrown at them, or something else is happening. And recently, the explosive interview by Satyapal Malik, the former governor of J&K. So with all these things, Dr. Swamy, with a lot of things, people are getting more apprehensive. What's happening in Karnataka elections, all the old leaders. I mean, it's pretty. The situation is getting pretty chaotic, and there's going to be, as we just wanted to discuss, is democracy in danger as alleged? So it's over to you, Dr. Swamy. We'll have a quick introduction, and then it's going to be a panel of you, Gopi and Sree, having a discussion. We'll take a few viewer questions, and then of course Arvind and I will have questions if there are any.
Well, the headline of this program, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
The headline of this session is the democracy in danger as alleged. So when the word as alleged comes, it means that our thinking is that this is something which is not an accepted fact, and therefore it has to. We have to debate this, whether in fact democracy is in danger. Now, I would put three questions to begin with. First of all, what constitutes democracy? What do you mean by democracy? And then in the context of past dangers that we have been through since 1940 and 1950, when the Constitution was adopted, has there been no danger in the past? Have we faced danger and come through? Example of the emergency is an example where democracy was suspended and the most fundamental rights and all were affected. And large numbers of people without any trial were put in jail. So it's not that the democracy didn't face a test of that kind. And of course, we came out of it. Mrs. Gandhi was defeated, and the Janata Party restored the democracy. So first of all, these past dangers, yes, there have been. So one can have again some dangers, but it won't survive. And therefore, we have to analyze it in that context. Now, a democracy rests on four pillars in our society, in our constitution. Of course, the parliament is the first. The second is the judiciary. The third is the executive, and the fourth is the media. So all these four, if they are functioning safely or properly and with the necessary freedom, then I think for independence, I think then, of course, the democracy is functioning, whether you like it or not. You don't like the prime minister, or you don't like the prime minister, whatever. These factors are not important. So we have a few things that we have to consider to begin with before I hand it over to our speakers and return later on when the discussion takes place. One is that India is not a newcomer nation to democracy. We have had democracies centuries ago, and they were not in terms of a parliament where people from all over India came, but there was whenever necessary, people did come together. For instance, the Mahabharat war, all the kings came and then they took sides, and then there was a Mahabharat war after consensus couldn't be reached, and Duryodhan was adamant. So then Sri Krishna declared that there's no other way except to go to war. So the democracy has been there in the Hindu society right from the beginning to the end. And this factor out in a number of ways, even when we were under British and Islamic, foreign invasions and rule of our country. So I would like to say that we have a tradition of democracy, and democracy is not taught to us by somebody, and therefore, it was not rooted and all that. We have been a democratic society, hit by hoodlums from abroad who are not democratic at all. So now I would like to also mention to you that King Bharata chose not to have his children as king. He went to the so-called society and picked his successor. He said, none of my children are worthy of it, and he then took public view and selected his successor. So I don't want to go into this too much because we have two very eminent speakers, and we have only about an hour. And so I don't want to waste time further on this, except to add this, that since 1977, when the Janata Party came up, we have been going on building what is called as safeguards in the Constitution to declare a coup d'etat as illegal. Today, if you want to get rid of democracy, you have to have a coup, you have to scrap the Constitution, and you have to put in some other thing in its place. And that means basically revolt has to take place. But Constitution itself, first of all, we are the basic structure idea. It's a very fascinating idea, which began with the Keshavanand Bharati case, where the petitioner was a sadhu, and he went and filed a petition. He was from Kerala, and he has an ashram there also. So he then went and filed a petition, and that petition, the court then used it to redefine the Constitution and said there is a basic structure, and that basic structure they listed, which cannot be amended, and therefore any constitutional amendment must meet this test of basic structure. This is something you have to read, and you have to read it in the context of what the founding fathers did, which was called which was there as a preliminary. It comes first before the clauses come. Preamble, yes, it's called the preamble because it is preamble, and that is something that must be taught in every school in a very rigorous way, explaining each sentence, its meaning. It's a beautiful putting together where we never mentioned secularism, we never met socialism. That has been artificially amended into it because preamble is not a parliament decision, so you can't amend it. So therefore, I've got a petition pending in the High Court, in the Supreme Court, excuse me. But only the problem is that the government of Mr. Modi is not allowing it to be listed. For every time it comes up, they want some adjournment and put it off. But ultimately, it has to come because I'm not going to give up. And we must clean the preamble of those two horrible insertions put in during the emergency, which is the socialism and secularism, because neither of them could be defined. Now, another thing I would like to say is that the Janata government amended the rights to declare an emergency, and said that it can be only declared if there is a armed revolt in the country. It can't be declared because you say law and order is broken down, this, that. No, you can't declare emergency anymore. Article 352, which provides for declaration of emergency, now is limited to the fact it has to be an armed rebellion, and that armed rebellion makes it another safeguard. So what I would like to say before I hand it over is that we have been through stages, and the stages, every time there has been a problem. For instance, when Jawaharlal Nehru was there, he ruled it like a kind of a dictator till, of course, the Chinese attack exposed him completely. But you saw that he didn't, of course, he had to amend many things. But there was nobody to challenge. Ambedkar was out of parliament because Jawaharlal Nehru ensured that he never wins a Lok Sabha election. And three elections in a row he lost, and then he just went away. Sardar Patel died, and so the Rajendra Prasad was president, but he retired and went away. So you had no challenge, and in that time there was a lot of whimsical personal thing, which is like a dictatorship and not a democracy. Now, Indira Gandhi, of course, imposed an emergency, and that emergency was overthrown not by the educated people of India. When the voting took place, the south, to which I belong, Sree Iyer belongs, Ramesh belongs, and Mr. Gopikrishnan belongs. All four of us should hang our head in shame that our region voted for Mrs. Gandhi in 1977. And it was the complete washout of the poorer regions of India, UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Haryana, Himachal, all of them wiped her out, you see, completely. In UP, they even defeated her and her son at the same time. So that is the one that gave the majority to the Janata Party. And with that, we could then restore democracy. So education by Western standards, English and all that, that doesn't produce democrats in India. A true Indian rooted to the soil, who understands our heritage, who values our heritage, who respects our heritage, that is the Indian who can be democratic. And those are the people we should, propagate. And that's why when you talk about Hindutva, we are not talking in communal terms. We are talking about the values of Hindus, and which is what democracy means. If you want democracy, you have to have Hindutva in the real sense. I mean, not in terms of imposition. If somebody doesn't want it, that's too bad. But we are 80%, and the 80% value the values of Hindutva. Then I don't think there can ever be a challenge or a danger to democracy. Over to our two heroes in this seminar, so to speak. Of course, it is Ramesh who can make it over to. I'm only a participant. He's the chairman. So over to you, Ramesh. Please ask them.
Before I hand over to, we'll have Gopi to chime in next. Before we hand over, I just would like to, take one point that you said. I am not from the south anymore. I'm in the north.
So,
Gopi, we'll start with you.
I'll say the headline, the title of this series, this debate, Democracy in Danger, as alleged or not. In my opinion, as Dr. Swamy said, it was only once challenged, that is during Indira Gandhi's emergency, where everything was standard. I was in the first standard at that time. I myself have memories of 1975 to 77, and I was in Kerala at that time. We have seen the power of the state and other things. And sadly, our side, people, I'll come to that. That time, the best thing, now I belong to media side, as the Dr. Swamy is a fourth pillar of a democratic system. The issue, I know people, nowadays people will say pro-establishment media always crawling before that is always there. Whoever in power, media generally has to go with the rulers. Very rare people, around 20% or 30%. Baki, every 70 to 80% wanted to be with the power, system and go their life with all the benefits. I'll tell a classic example. When Janata Party came, first information broadcasting minister was L.K. Advani. In his first press conference, when after Indira Gandhi lost and Janata Party came, Advani gave a classic example to the media. He said that, I have something to say. Indira Gandhi wanted you people, means press people, to just bow her, but you decided to crawl.
Bend. She wanted you to bend. He said bend.
Yeah, she just wanted you people to bend, but you people decided to crawl. That is the system of media in India. That is from there onwards. Whoever in power, people will be there. In emergency time, we have started India's biggest magazine, India Today, started on emergency time. You have to see the first issue of India Today on December. It come on the December 75 emergency time. 6 months after the emergency declaration, the one magazine, India Today, it was done by Rajiv and Sanjay's classmate Arun Puri. First edition, he speaks about, still the journalists are still, most of them are still alive. One article says trains are going proper time, this is there, that is there, and there was another article is on the going to Youth Congress office, India's youth vibrant in the Raisina Road, Ambika Soni leading, another article. And there was another city reporters, another article in India Today, national page. A reporter goes to liquor bar and he says lot of people are drinking because they wanted a relaxation because they are hard working. So liquor business also due to emergency. This is so journalists. It is just like what do you say? Praising the rulers is always there. That's not democracy is not in danger. I will never say. And India is a vibrant society, and people know how to deal when rulers go overboard. Emergency showed us that. In as far as in South, emergency Indira regime because of the voting combination. Communist Party was with Congress, and we have to see. I think Shiv Sena was also with Congress that time. So these kind of things are happening. And as far as the current regime, there are allegations of people calling Godi media. Somebody saying yesterday also in our press club, women's press club election was there, but the winners were anti-establishment against those journalists who argue against establishments. So there is a vibrancy is always seen in the media. Let us see our capital, Delhi. It fascinates me. In 2014, and Lok Sabha entire seat, 7 Lok Sabha seats went to BJP. After 6 months, state assembly election happened, but out of 70 assemblies, 67 seats went to Aam Aadmi Party. BJP has only 3 seats. And then again, MCD came, there BJP won. And then again, 2019 Lok Sabha election came. There also BJP got 7. After 6 months, Delhi elections, assembly election, Kejriwal got 70 out of 63 or 62 seats. And this MCD, where BJP was supposed to win, they have changed the graph and their MCD unit. There also, the Aam Aadmi Party also. People has to be vibrant, vigilant, and people in media, people in politics, everybody should talk for the democracy, and it should not be a one man's or hero worshipping. These kind of things is always against the democratic system. There should be challenges, there should be questioners, and it should be debated. Everything has to be debated through a democratic thing. Look at this government. The basic problem, the farmers' law. When the country was in COVID, there was an ordinance passed, and there was a session, bill was rolled, no debates, nothing. And we have seen the people struggle. We have seen the farmers strike. Prime Minister was forced to withdraw through a television declaration. He has forced. So there are still democracy, and there are pieces are there are voices are there. So I stop here for pausing here.
I have a short question before we go to Sree Iyer. Ramesh, with your permission. Um, if you see today's media and the regular compliance with a junior official called Hiren Joshi of the PMO, who visits or summons the editors to his office and tells them, you can't publish this, you can't publish this, and they oblige. Is that a fact or not?
Sir, it happens every time. Not only Modi's time, Sonia's time also, and it happens. And I'll tell a small incident. One day, Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister. I was rocking the 2G scam like anything. So 2013, PMO called journalists for a meeting. PMO officials called journalists for a meeting. So our bureau chief was not able to go. So I was supposed to go. Seeing my name, they said then, oh, then again, our others. So it happens. I also cover this PMO aspects and others. It is every ministries there is this. There are liaison officers, public relation officers. They will give, but issue is, I agree. Everywhere journalism, what they are doing is whoever says they just publish, but they don't challenge. If a leader says now it is total sun brightness is there, but journalist has to look at the window and say whether raining or not. So the journalists also will play an easy way. So and certain medias are always fighting, like emergency Ramnath Goenka fought like anything, and it happens. You are right. Instructions are coming, but there are people not obliging always. There are certain papers not obliging. They might not be getting advertisements, so they might not. It happens, but there is a limit. You can't do everything. Other thing, and there are opposition leaders are also there. I always tell what I sensed recent these 9 years in the parliament. Have you noticed, sir? Always when parliament was going on, every top political party's leaders' press conferences were going in parliament. Congress has a particular time, 4 o'clock, BJP at 3 o'clock, and Communist parties at 2 o'clock. I really don't know what happened to that system for 2014 onwards. I'm talking about the Parliament House. Why? Who prevented them? Nobody prevents them. These leaders has to come forward and speak. Somebody has to speak. In BJP, I think that Democratic Party, the democracy is there. So seeing your tweets, I don't think no action as disciplinary action as from BJP has come to you. So there is a democracy.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to take one question from the viewer, Dr. Swamy. This is media today. Because it's related to media, I'm just posting this to Gopi. There's not question, whatever happened to Rahul Gandhi? Why is the media kind of silent on this matter? This is not a danger to democracy. The Rahul Gandhi issue.
Media was there, and now the matter is in the court. And media, so many people has wrote that disqualification was speed. Lok Sabha speaker went overboard. So many editorials have come also, and from the courts, Supreme Court has that Lakshadweep MP's case. Lok Sabha Secretariat has to. I am not using the word surrender. They have said that they are withdrawing. So it happens. All these things. Rahul Gandhi's Congress should also come forward and speak to media. They should see. Media is not blocking, and you cannot block Congress party's press conferences. They will also become. They also have other parties, Samajwadi parties and others. They also have their grassroots. Media cannot ban everything like that. Somewhere, and look at the Delhi media is publishing everything Aam Aadmi Party says.
Okay. So There's another question. I mean, again, the media is not, the PM after taking power in 2014 has not given even one press conference. Is that something that doesn't bother the media?
See, that is, I come to that point. As far as personally on Prime Minister Modi, as a journalist, I don't like this attitude of non-meeting media and not conducting press conferences, which in a public seminar in Habitat Center in 2017, I myself has said it is still available in the video. I said that Prime Minister must address the press. And this is the lone Prime Minister, lone Chief Minister as the head of the state. I don't know why not meeting the media. That Prime Minister's style of working or his state of mind as a journalist, I don't like it.
Okay. Sree, let's just jump to you, and then we'll take some questions again. And then once you finish, then we can probably go back to the US questions. Go ahead, Sree.
Thank you all. Dr. Swamy, thanks for inviting me for this channel. It's always a joy and pleasure to be part of VHS panel to discuss things that really concern the nation. Since I work out of the United States, I always look at two democracies and see if I can draw some parallels between United States and India. The fact is that as the definition of democracy, you had asked that question. Number one, what is democracy? Democracy can be described in two Latin words, vox populi, or people's voice. And this, as long as this is not stifled, then that system is functioning. Unfortunately, now there are people who have been working very hard to try and find the loopholes in this system. See, of all the political systems, democracy is the least flawed. That's the way I look at it. And people still are trying to game this system. For example, people always say P Gurus is a right-wing side. See, this is being done by who? People who think that they are left. But why should somebody define somebody else? I refuse to be defined as a right-wing side. I'm not anything. You don't have a right to tell me that you are right-wing. I am what I am. P Gurus has never shied away from taking the hard calls and showing the mirror to the people, to the people who made the statements. And for this, we get penalized. I don't get a single paisa of advertising from India, nor a single dollar of advertising from any of the US agencies or government. And yet I get a lot of pushback. Why are you saying this? Why are you saying that? But this. But so the point I'm trying to say is today, even in the United States, it is very difficult to be in the middle, not taking sides. People say that CNN veered left because Fox had veered right, and they had to counterbalance that. I mean, I'm not making any excuses for CNN, but this is how people say that today you have to take a side, and I refuse to take a side. I see the news, I double check it, I fact check it, and sometimes I might get it wrong and I retract it. So this is how I have tried to do this profession, and I'm not a trained journalist. I'm not like Gopi, who's used to talking to politicians or people in the know. I do it purely based out of some different reference data, and then I try to connect the dots, because in my opinion, that's the best way to connect the dots, and sometimes even that goes a little bit here or there. But the important point is democracy in danger? I think democracy in danger in India is the same as democracy in danger in United Kingdom or in United States or any other democracy. It is just that people have now figured out that each of these systems have a few loopholes here and there, fault lines, and they are beginning to exploit it. I'll give you an example. Why is it Ro Khanna, who's a congressman from Fremont, which is an adjoining constituency of mine, why is he tweeting that Modi should intervene in the judgment against Rahul Gandhi? Doesn't he know that there is a judiciary in India? I mean, he's from Indian origin. He should know a little bit more. He should have not tweeted that out. Anyway, I'm going to ask him this question the next time I get to talk to him. Let's see what he says. Next thing, Ilhan Omar, 23rd March, 1 week before Ramanavami. She says 200 million Muslims are about or are ready to be genocided in India. Who's she? She is right now involved up to her neck in a $250 million food scam. And I asked this question also yesterday. So what I'm trying to say is people need to first set their own house in order before they start taking pot shots at a country halfway across the world. And the same thing goes for Canada. Canadian politicians, they have no business talking about India. At least one thing I see, that Indian politicians don't take pot shots at what is happening inside a particular country, that internal business of that country. I don't see Dr. Swamy commenting about what is happening in United States. Especially if there's an internal legislation, like for example, there is a huge thing going on about abortion. The Supreme Court overturned that judgment, and now every state is grappling with that, and many other things like that. So my point here is that democracy is not exactly how it was maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Today, I can tell you on VHS channel today that I have been gently told that I'm being too critical of Modi. I don't want to take names. It came to me through 2 or 3 hands, but they told me, the person who told me to say, look, you are being too anti-Modi. They didn't say that we'll do anything to you, but I do get surprises once in a while, especially, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. These are all the hazards of being a journalist. And the more independent you are, the more unbending you are, you get poked at from both sides. I mean, this is, if you have the aptitude for taking it on, and I do, because I'm a disciple of Dr. Swamy. I never shy away from saying that whatever little I've learned in this, avatar of mine as a journalist, I've learned it from looking at how Dr. Swamy deals with things. Nothing wrong in that. You learn from the best. Why do people go to Harvard? That answers my question. So the long and short of it is that yes, it could be better. Yes, Modi could be communicating. He could be also giving press conferences. If not Modi, in the early days of 2014, in the first NDA one, we had this one IFS officer, I think his name was Syed Akbaruddin, who used to have press conferences as part of Minister of External Affairs. He used to do a great job. And then he got promoted and he became India's ambassador to the United Nations, after which I think he retired. Now, you could have brought him back and said that, okay, you be the media advisor. You start giving press conferences every day. I don't expect Modi to be present every day. Once in a while, he can come and be a part of that. This refusal to communicate, I don't know. I can't explain that. Only BJP can explain that. To some extent, Jaitley used to be there to kind of, I would say, paint lipstick over a pig and try to make it look like, oh, look, what a beautiful picture this is. But at least he tried. After Jaitley, even that has kind of fallen away now, unfortunately. This is a big problem. And what happens is it comes back to bite them at the wrong place at the wrong time. And what can we say? All we can say is that we have to be objective, and certainly have a group of people who help me with P-Gurus, and very proud of them. And we try to also give both sides of a story, and we let the viewers decide. I don't want to take sides on which is right and which is wrong. We present both sides of the story and say, you guys decide which one is right and which one is wrong. That's all I want to say now. Thank you so much.
See, I have a question. Go ahead, Dr. Swamy.
I have accused you of being pro-Modi, right?
Yes.
So then it's balanced. That means you are a neutral person, because the other side says you are anti-Modi. And
exactly. Yeah. Yes. You have tweeted it out. So it's not like, it's just a conversation that you and I had. You have tweeted it out. So you yourself have taught us that if two people agree on everything, then one is redundant.
That's right.
Right? So, I mean, I'm trying to apply my brain when I try to say something.
Yeah. Oh, one last question which he has to address. Nobody has said about the independence of judiciary. Do you think our judiciary is independent enough by any democratic standards that is viable in the world?
Gopi, you take it first.
Shall I take?
Yeah. Gopi.
Yeah. As far as my understanding of the current judiciary, it is compared to the old judiciary. The current judiciary is so vibrant because you can see recently Arun Shawri has wrote a book, and where Indian Express has published Justice P.N. Bhagavati daily praising letters to Indira Gandhi. All the little flowery languages P.N. Bhagavati giving her victory time. You come back between 1980 when you became India's grown. There's a new like so nowadays that kind of judges are not there. Indian judiciary is working well, and the judiciary has used its might in so many cases during COVID time. Judiciary has intervened even in the pricing of so many things, and even in the vaccination formula, vaccination methods. Everything judiciary has to intervene, and the government has rectified it also. And recently, I think 2 days, Tuesday, there is a case on Karnataka reservation issue is coming. Supreme Court has said that just before election, you are cutting down 4% reservation of Muslims and adding 2 plus 2% reservation each to Vokalinga and Linkayas just before election announcement. So that's why Indian systems are every time election time we are seeing some reservation announcement, religious caste reservation announcements, and after some time election we all know that court will quash it. So people are fooling, and I have a small this thing. Democracy and mobocracy we have not defined. Mobocracy is the biggest issue. So much chamchas together and just make noise. Yes, my king is right. They won't say emperor is not naked. That is the biggest issue, sir. Democracy is fine, but there is a mobocracy. Some set of people just making noise, and some people will say this man should rule for 30 years, this man should rule for so many years, this man has generated this, that. So it is happening in the states also. I know there are some chief ministers basically from regional parties. They are also acting like autocrats. Is there any debate going in their cabinet? I don't know. But thankfully, they are all addressing first. As far as Prime Minister is concerned, I don't know. Prime Minister is not addressing. As a journalist and as a citizen, I can't understand why is he doing this.
Sree, your thoughts on judicial democracy?
Thank you, Ramesh. So far, I have not had to go actually and sit in a case against me to understand the pulse and how the judiciary thinks. However, I have seen that at the lower levels, the judiciary is being arm twisted. Some do comply. Some say no. I'm going to. This is going to be my verdict, and that's it. So there is both sides that I see. As to what is the percentage, I have to say that at the lower level courts, the ruling party tends to have its word. I'll give you a simple example. Our good friend, who's Karthik Gopinath, is still waiting for justice. He's still waiting for his FIR to be quashed. And the reason they don't want to do it is because the lobby that controls the DMK doesn't want the Hindus to feel that, okay, if somebody destroys it, I will go back, raise funds, whichever way I can, and rebuild my temple. They don't want it. They have tried so many things, stealing murtis. Then people stop praying. Then go and, that becomes a conversion-rich area. So till now, today, every time they are using one ruse or the other to try and prevent that case from going away. And this is a black and white case. I mean, there is no, there are no subjective interpretations about it. For the longest time, his bank accounts were frozen so that he couldn't even use it to, pay his research team and things like that. I mean, I can go on. So that part where at the lower level, the judiciary is actually being forced to do the bidding of the ruling government or the ruling cabal that is calling the shots in a government. This itself is a mystery to me. There is a name and there is somebody else actually wielding the power. How does this name allow this to be done? Well, we have to go and ask Madam Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh. That is the first place I saw this happening. So this is a challenge. This is a challenge for the judiciary.
Sir, I have a classic case of judiciaries. You asked a question. I am coming to your case. Uttarakhand, 51 temples taken away by the government. You filed the case and you have seen how melted down that judgment of the Uttarakhand High Court. They were agreeing with all your facts, and you approach Supreme Court. But by that time, public anger gone, and the same BJP government has chief minister who implemented has to go away, and there were two chief ministers came, and every public anger came, pujaris and others, and the government was forced to withdraw that takeover temple, and like the farmers' law and others. That's why I said that that time judiciary should have shown its mettle in that particular judgment. That chief justice, that current chief justice, that time chief justice who gave that Ramanujam or something, I forgot his name.
Yes.
He gave one saying about properties should not be touched, but he did not that kind of
treasury will be in the hands of the temple.
In the hands. So
that's what made the government lose interest in it.
Yeah.
To get the treasury in their hands.
So somewhere judiciary also there are some people always tries to bend and friendly with the government, so they will get post-judicial activities. And we have seen certain guys are getting good post-retirement benefits, and some writings are made in a very fast. And there are good judges are also. But I always say comparing media, politics, executive and judiciary, I always say there are good people are more in judiciary.
Dr. Swamy, there is a question. This is about the Maharashtra crisis. What has happened now? The Supreme Court has reserved a judgment. So, is in your opinion, what happened in Maharashtra in 2022 is that a blot on democracy?
Of course, it is. I mean, there was. What do you mean by going to the floor and declaring that you have already split? It has been done on the floor. So that's an issue on which the Maharashtra issue is hinged, and I'm sure that the court will set it aside.
Gopi, your thoughts?
Anyway, Supreme Court judgment is there waiting in that case. But whatever happened is Maharashtra is Shiv Sena was broken by using the central power agencies. So many people were in jail, and Maharashtra politicians, and these politicians are also not angels. They are into all kind of businesses, and one case is registered, then ED sends notices, and these politicians, when you get income tax and ED notice, they start shivering, and that Shiv Sena was actually broken by these people. And there are faults of Uddhav also. He could not contain his party properly. And now the Supreme Court is there, and that day judgment also, the Chief Justice asked the relevant question: why you resigned before? You did not go for floor test. So let us see. It will be a crucial judgment. So judges, one side you are hearing Sipal's argument, another side you are hearing Salve's argument. That constitution bench will also. It's a peculiar issue which has to be rectified by people in the next election, not through judiciary and others. I feel Maharashtra issue has to be rectified by the people himself in the next election.
I think past few days, I mean, at least for 3-4 days, Dr. Swamy, the biggest topic that's being discussed across social media, but not by mainstream media, is the Satyapal Malik's interview with Thapar, Karan Thapar. On one hand, we can say that he is able to say these things, but in the interview, Karan asked him, are you afraid of repercussions? He says, well, let's see, even I also have to strengthen it. So, do you have any thoughts on what was said in the interview? Because something pretty explosive was said. So we can start with you, we'll go to Sree and then come to Gopi, because I think Sree needs to go. So I'm just going to go to Dr. Swamy first and then Sree, Gopi, and after that Arvind will have his, he has a lot of questions, so we'll go to Arvind now.
Okay, then I'll make it short.
Okay.
The question is that if you're talking about the former governor, he is a man who is documented it, and there's been no response from the center, nor the center spokesman. The only thing is Ram Madhav, because he was accused of having offered 300 crores for a corrupt deal on behalf of the Prime Minister. So he has filed a defamation suit, but he has not filed a suit. He has just sent a notice. Now that's a new racket in our system, where people send notices and then put it out in the media, and then they don't file a case. You see, when you file a defamation case, you have to go first, especially if it's a criminal case. You have to go first on the box, and you can be cross-examined, in which everything about you can be laid bare, and you get more defamed in a court than you would have been defamed by the original defamation. So therefore, when he has made this, they should appoint an inquiry committee. We get a judge who's been because it's at a very high level. So let there be a Supreme Court retired judge made as the chairman, and have it examined and come to a conclusion. But to threaten him or to fire, to get after him or find out about his bank accounts or how much money he's made, and also run him down. And these are not the ways of treating a man whom you considered was fit to be a governor of a state.
Sree.
Yeah, see, one would think that with the prevalence of social media, that the truth will come out. His big revelation was that the CRPF Jawans could have been airlifted instead of being run by trucks. Now, that one, you have to respond. Why you couldn't do that? And there are many such instances where this government just, prefers to keep quiet, and then there will be some other news cycle will start, and this thing gets buried. I'll give you a personal example. In Augusta Westland case, Dr. Swamy, your good friend Jairam Ramesh, calls a press conference, calls me a liar, more or less, and then he sends me a legal notice. Now, I'm about to take a flight to India, and my car is waiting. The FedEx guy comes and gives me this envelope. Here, take it. And these are the kind of things they did. But then what happened? Nothing.
But I advised you to throw it in the waste paper basket.
Yes, I did. But then, no, I did that. I only then left to India. That was not the challenge, sir. But what I'm trying to say is, for doing that, perhaps Mr. Jairam Ramesh got a Rajya Sabha seat renewal, and he's back again in Rajya Sabha. See, so I don't know which is serious and which is not serious. And right now there is so much opacity in the way things function that eternal Hindutva, that search for truth, is become paramount now. Nobody can take anything at face value and say this is what happened. So, and that is where, in my opinion, the media is missing the boat. They could really play a big role by actually sticking to the truth and getting the truth. This is the truth. But by not doing that, what happens is these kind of egregious acts continue on and on and on. I'll give you another example, Dr. Swamy, and this is going to be the biggest problem for Tamil Nadu government, in my opinion. Did you watch that Annamalai press conference, sir? I don't know. I'll give you mota. He has said that Mr. M.K. Stalin took 200 crores bribe from a company called Alstom. It's a US company that makes electric engines. In 2011, to fight the elections, he took 200 crore bribe. This is the allegation that is being put. This is actually will have serious repercussions in the United States, because a bribe giver can also go to jail. The only technicality they may escape is because they'll say that the 5-year period is over, so now we may not be able, it may be too late to pursue this. So, see, but the point, these kinds of things are there, and nobody is actually talking. The complete Tamil channels have completely omitted this this whole press conference. Only a few social media channels and a few TV channels have covered it.
Yeah, Gopi, Sree, even main media is not covered. But for Telegraph, I don't think any other big media is really touching this with even with the.
No, Indian Express did it in the front page of Satyapal Malik today.
Okay.
Indian Express front page, it was there. And as far as Sree has said that America, because your country has a very nightmare act, which Indian and many other corrupt politicians don't like, because you have a Foreign Corrupt Practices Act,
Correct.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
that's why we are dealing with Russia, China, and all this. What do you call? Even American companies operating through Cayman Islands, and all these things happening. Mauritius route was to avoid this direct US, because you have a very nightmare act called Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. Anyway, let us come back to Satyapal Malik.
Satyapal Malik, Gopi, so your thoughts, and then we want to go to Dr. Arvind Chaturvedi.
See, Satyapal Malik
Now,
has
if I
said.
could excuse myself, thank you so much, viewers. And
Okay.
thank you, Dr. Swamy, again. Thank you, VHS family. And I'll be back again at your request, sir. Namaskar.
Bye, Sree. Have a good one. Yeah.
See,
Go ahead,
as
Gopi.
far as Satyapal Malik incident, uh, he has given a earth-shaking or attacking interview, a strong interview against Prime Minister and the system during his governor time and others. He has spoken. No reputed, and now Congress party is also conducted a press conference. Some few media houses now start putting in the front page, Today Express as a front page. Now it is from the government side and Prime Minister's side, or minimum some other side, or even BJP. Because Satyapal Malik was a former BJP vice president before he became a governor. He was so many years he was a BJP vice president, so many years national vice president. And before this government has selected him as a governor in 2017, Bihar, when Ramnath Kovind was elevated as president. And he has given the topmost governor post in JNK, and Article 370 was taken out. He was the total controller of the state. And then Goa also, he has a problem. He is telling everything. And somebody has to silence makes the problem, doubts will come. And in India, it has come in a well-known portal wire, and everybody started seeing, and it is all over the YouTube. And let us see how people's assumption is. People considers it, and so more silence will create more further doubts in the common man's minds. And government and everybody should come out and speak. If there is politics, there will be allegations will be there, and people have and this is not a opposition politician or not. He was a part of the system. He was the part of the system. He has now made his point. He might be angry with the government, might not be. He might be angry with the government for not getting second extension, or he was removed from the Goa to Meghalaya. He might be angry with the government.
But the facts don't change, Gopi. I mean, he might be angry. He might, and I agree. There could be, the issue that he didn't get extension, he didn't get another one. But
he has spoken. He has come out with certain issues, so nobody is challenging it. Not social media. Somebody says blah blah blah. That's nothing. Nobody in some few social media handles saying who cares, but somebody from the same stature has to counter it.
Yeah, Dr. Swamy, you were about to say something. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's precisely what Gopikrishnan was trying to say. The fact is that
at least Amit Shah should reply.
He has spoken up. He has said something, and the government must do it not by threatening him or dragging him for the defamation case and so on, but to set up an inquiry on those transactions which he said were corrupt, or on Pulwama. You see, what he has said is horrible. I mean, literally horrible. And Modi's behavior in that resort center where he was with his friend, that was also terrible. He should have immediately come across, cancelled his vacation and come out and come immediately back to the scene. But all that didn't happen, and this is what he has said. So he's not above. Modi is not above the law. You see, that he must understand.
Okay, Arvind ji.
Thank you, Ramesh. Good 55 minutes.
Sorry,
I was waiting
because there are a
for.
lot of good questions from the viewers. I was just
I
taking
know,
one after
I know, I
another.
know, I know, I know. And my tone is going to be different from the three speakers.
Okay.
Dr. Swamy started with the definition of democracy, and he said there are four pillars of democracy. Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia also used to call it Chokhamba Raj. Chokhamba means Char Khamba. And we talk about the parliamentary system, we talk about the executive, we talk about judiciary, and we talk about press. In fact, I feel I have been observing Indian politics for last 50 years or more. In 1967 election, as a teenager, I was the first Jansangh worker. In fact, my entire family was working for elections those days in 1967. So I've been observing Indian politics since then, and I've seen the deterioration in democracy has come slowly and gradually, and it has accelerated in last 10 years or so. When I say 10 years, I covered 9 years of Modi and maybe some time before Modi took over. And this tendency was started maybe sometime during Sonia Gandhi's time. And earlier, the initiation was done during Indira Gandhi's time. Now, when I say the first pillar is the political parties, the political system, and Indira Gandhi started this thing after capturing the Congress party, after splitting and all that. Inner party democracy was still there in the other parties, whether they were socialist parties or they were Jansangh or other parties. But over a period of time, even that has disappeared. Jansangh had only two leaders, maybe one leader, Deen Dayal Upadhyay, and then thereafter Balraj Madhok and Atal Bihari Vajpayee, thereafter Lal Krishan Advani and Murli Manohar Joshi and so on. But never the situation was such as it is in BJP today, where the entire party is controlled by only two persons and nobody speaks. Gopi mentioned about the cabinet meetings, nobody is asking questions. What about the executive meetings of the parties? The regularity of the meetings have also been stopped. There's no debate in the party on any issue. Whatever dictate is given by two gentlemen from Gujarat, that becomes the dictum, and that becomes the party policy. So whether it is Congress, after Indira Gandhi, the baton was passed on to Rajiv Gandhi, and then from Rajiv Gandhi to Sonia Gandhi, and so on. And the Congress party has also become dictatorial. Whether you have Khadge or Sitaram Kesri as a non-Gandhi president, doesn't matter. So whether it is Congress, whether it is BJP, or whether it is any other party, only somewhat democracy was there in the communist parties, both CPI and CPM, but now they have decimated, and there's no point in counting them. And all other parties, whether it is Mamta's party, whether it is Stalin's party, whether it is Naveen Patnaik's party or Akhilesh's, any party that you name, including the Aam Aadmi party, they're all single man party. And therefore, democracy has disappeared. And since the democracy has disappeared, I would say in the first pillar, democracy is in danger. Number one. Number two, I was surprised by what Gopi said, because Gopi outside press club is different, and Gopi in our program is slightly different. I was really surprised. In fact, there were some comments about the judiciary. For last 1 year, I have not read a newspaper. I've stopped reading newspapers. I used to watch some political debates on television channels, which also I have stopped watching. I prefer watching cricket rather than watch political debates on television channels. All television channels, without exception, the anchors have become the spokesperson of the parties, and therefore no point in watching. They would say something which even the party spokesperson would be afraid to say, but these people represent political parties so much. And Gopi is a reality. Whether you accept it or not, I don't know why you are being so diplomatic in our program today. As far as the press media is concerned, media is in the total grip of the ruling party, and all the owners of the media channels, whether it is print or whether it is electronic, they are totally in control. Hardly any, of course, NDTV was there for some time before NDTV was bought by Modani. So now even NDTV, at least I had some option to watch some program on NDTV, some debates on NDTV or Ravish Kumar or something. At least have alternative point of view. Now even that has disappeared. Now the third pillar, the second pillar, third pillar is about the executive. All IAS officers have become these serpents. They are crawling. I mean, you say the press crawling in emergency. I think the IAS lobby has totally forgotten what was their role. Civil services, they are totally uncivil services now. So there is hardly any IAS officer which I've heard in last 30 years who was stood up against any politician. So IAS, they are actually planning their post-retirement positions. They say after they retire, what will be the next position? And same thing happened to the judiciary. Judges, whether they are from High Court or Supreme Court, they also plan their position after their retirement, whether they will get this position or that position, or even IAS, IPS officer and judges, they've also entering politics after retirement. Some of them are becoming MPs, some of them have even become ministers. So this thing has also affected. So when you say all four pillars, I will say all four pillars over a period of time have become so weak that democracy is in danger. And Dr. Swamy would also know in his National Herald case, what has been the interference of the government in judiciary. हम कहते हैं जुडिशरी हमारी इंडिपेंडेंट है, स्वतंत्र है, सब कुछ है और जुडिशरी पे कोई सवाल नहीं उठा सकता. But look at the way things are going. The cases are being decided outside the courts, and I don't know whether it is contempt, but all the judgments are not good in law, and therefore I would say all four pillars. And the media is the worst victim. Media is the worst sufferer. With 303 members of parliament, the ruling party has become dictatorial, and never in the history of Indian politics of last 50 years, the ruling party has been so dictatorial as it is today. Yes.
Anybody wants to react?
I'm just adding up something. Only one point I agree with Arvindji, where he said this: for political parties, there is a democracy, inner democracy is now fizzling out. That I agree with.
Hardly anything. I mean, even for Congress,
he made a single page kar diya. But one thing, I've been reporting Parliament from 2008 onwards. Earlier I was in Kerala. I have seen from Kerala Assembly debates. But when I landed in Parliament, what I say is majority of the MPs, when they start speaking, first they praise their supreme leader.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everyone.
As if they are praising
Now,
the God.
And now BJP also, like, and even the government, even animal husbandry, some projects also, they will, ruling party will say, according to the kindness of our
Modi hai to mumkin hai. In everything, Modi hai to mumkin hai.
Even the BJD MP says that Naveen ji, Hamara Naveen Patnaik ji, and AIDMK MPs that time Puratchi Taleveri. And why MPs? Because I come from Kerala Assembly reporting. I was astonished how much itna chamchas assembled here. Because I have never seen in Kerala where Communists and Congress were there. Nobody praises their supreme leader or anything. But here and UPA time, they will praise according to the vision of our UPA chairperson, Madam Sonia ji. Every Congress MP, Congress ministers, same is happening in the BJP also, this kind of praising. I have not covered during the Vajpayee era. I don't think that time BJP MPs praising Vajpayee like this or anything. Every MP speech, 10-minute speech, 5 minutes is dedicated for praising his leader for anything under the sun. Even that's the system of political parties, because he must be wanted to get elected next time, seat has to be given. Because it was shocking to me, because I have never heard it in Kerala assembly like this. I know Tamil Nadu assembly is like this. Karnataka I don't know, but here.
So, Dr. Swamy, at least the test of democracy is going to be the Karnataka elections, because it is what has happened so far. I think the test is going to be with the result of the Karnataka election. So, Arvindji, so that we can conclude, we have already overshot by 5 minutes, so we can conclude.
Yes. That's why I said the time was short. Otherwise, things are too. I mean, there are too many things to be described. Of course.
And by the way, Dr. Swamy, there is a lot of requests saying that can we have the former governor Satyapal Malik on our show?
If you decide, I will talk to him.
Okay, Arvindji, go ahead.
Okay, so Dr. Swamy initiated this issue, and
I'm happy to see that I have emerged in this session as a moderate, and Arvind has taken over the extremist role.
Yeah. So, Dr.
No,
Swamy,
just before the program, you were talking about whether I'm a leftist or rightist. And as I said, my experience started with Jansang. I've been a volunteer of Jansang for several years. I mean, with all my family members, and it is I'm pained to see what has become of that political party. I mean, we had different ideals, and there's nobody who talks about ideals these days in politics, but least is the BJP.
You are not in Shaka. You are not a Shaka. You are not gone to Shaka.
No, my father was arrested when Mahatma Gandhi was killed.
So you are not gone to Shaka.
No, I have never been to. I've
That's
been
why
to
you are not disciplined.
only twice.
That is why you are not a disciplined person.
Once with Raju Bhaiya as RSS chief, he came to IIT Kanpur in 1974. I attended his chakha and once more in Kanpur, but not a regular visitor to Shakha. Though my family members have been the Sanghis, so to say. Anyway, that's a different issue.
Yeah,
Thank you, Dr. Swamy, for bringing this issue. This issue is so important today that we did not even discuss what's happening in UP to law and order, and why it is being done the way it is being done. And the Satyapal Malik, of course, is a hot issue these days. And when I said about Godi media, how many channels on electronic medium have shown Satyapal Malik's interview, and that the Karan Thapar had to do it on wire, which is not on a regular media. And of course, opposition parties should take it to the public. There should be a debate, and whether democracy is in danger from the political point of view. Dr. Swamy has started the question. Thank you, Dr. Swamy. Sree Iyer has left this program because he had to go for another program. Thank you, Mr. Sree Iyer, in absence. Many good points you raised. Gopi has been a very good debater, and I always like talking to Gopi in any forum. And today he was a little milder, I would say.
We were all compared to you, my
criticism is concerned. But I enjoyed talking, and I'm sure our viewers also would have enjoyed. Thank you, Gopi. Ramesh, thank you, Ramesh. आज हमारे साथ जगदीश शेट्टी जी नहीं थे, लेकिन रमेश जी ने पूरा उनका रोल निभाया. Thank you very much. I must thank the technical team led by Ashish Shetty, which is behind the show. Ashish Shetty, Gadgi Rakesh, Ishwar Iyer, Tejas Navalgul, Vishal Mehta, Ajesh Nair. Thank you for your technical support. We will be meeting again next Sunday, 23rd April, with a new topic and with Dr. Subramanian Swamy. Thank you very much. Till then, Namaskar.